It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
He has Giannis behind him, gets to Leonard.
Now that free agency has officially started, and as the greatest player in the history of the Toronto Raptors, and
I'm a fun guy,
Kawhi Leonard becomes a free agent, he can basically decide to play anywhere in the NBA. Kawhi Leonard led the Toronto Raptors to their first ever NBA Finals championship, and he became the Finals MVP after defeating the Golden State Warriors in 6 games. Now, before I get started, this video is based on the article published in the Financial Post on June 21st, 2019 by Jamie Golombek with the title, Why Canada's High Tax Rates Could Be a Non-Factor in Kawhi's Stay or Go Decision. The link to the article is listed in the description. Even though all of Canada is begging Kawhi Leonard to re-sign with the Toronto Raptors by offering a multi-million-dollar penthouse and free dining under the name of Kawhi and Dine Initiative, there is still a strong myth about marquee players not wanting to play in Canada, especially because of our high federal and Ontario personal income tax rates. Can our high tax rates prevent Kawhi Leonard from re-signing with the Toronto Raptors? This video will examine how much Canadian taxes will impact when Kawhi Leonard is deciding whether to re-sign with the Toronto Raptors or go to a California team such as the LA Lakers or Clippers. Now in Ontario, the top combined federal and provincial marginal tax rate is really high at 53.53%. And now let's compare that to the tax rates in the United States. The US federal income tax rate is 37%, and then you have to add the California state income tax rate of 13.3%, and you have to add the Medicare tax for high income earners at 2.35%, which brings the total tax rate to 52.65%. So that marks a difference of only 0.88% between Canada and the United States. According to the NBA rules, the Toronto Raptors can offer a max contract to Kawhi Leonard of $190 million US over 5 years, which works out to about $38 million US per year. No other team can offer him as much, so right off the bat, Kawhi Leonard will be earning quite a bit more if he stays with the Toronto Raptors. But for argument's sake, let's assume he will earn the same amount of money playing for a team in California. Then according to the difference between the two income tax rates of 0.88%, Kawhi will only be paying an additional tax of just over $300,000 playing for the Toronto Raptors, which is chump change for Kawhi Leonard. Now, even if Kawhi Leonard re-signs with the Toronto Raptors, another important decision Kawhi needs to make is whether he chooses to become resident of Canada or stay a non-resident for tax purposes. If he becomes a Canadian resident, he would have to pay Canadian tax on his worldwide income, including endorsements and investment income. That's why many US athletes who play for Canadian professional sports teams often choose to remain non-residents of Canada. Their tax payable then depends on which state they are considered to be tax resident. So before he got traded to the Toronto Raptors, Kawhi Leonard played for the San Antonio Spurs, which is based in Texas, and Texas has 0 state income tax. But since Kawhi Leonard has recently bought a $13.3 million mansion in San Diego, California, it seems that he could be considered a California tax resident even after re-signing with the Toronto Raptors. Sean Peckard, a U.S. accountant and the tax director with OFS Wealth, a Virginia-based company that helps athletes and celebrities manage their wealth, thinks that the house purchased alone could make Kawhi subject to California state income tax. Now, as a US tax resident, he would only pay tax in Canada based on his Canadian duty days. Duty days begin on the first day of training camp and end either when the regular season ends or when the team finishes its playoff run. Canadian duty days count the number of days that the players are in Toronto for games, practices, training, and days off. So based on the current season, it's estimated that Canadian duty days are approximately 67% of total duty days, which means Kawhi Leonard would pay Canadian tax on approximately 2/3 of his Raptors employment income. So there you have it, folks. Our high tax rates alone are not a big enough factor, nor are they a disincentive for Kawhi Leonard to sign elsewhere. Basically, it will boil down to whether Canadians were able to win him over and whether he believes he can continue winning more championships with the Toronto Raptors. Now, I'm just gonna end this video on this.
Yeah!